In this video, I'm going to cover how I would think about purchasing my next vehicle, whether I was a large operator with a whole fleet or even a brand new operator. And by the end of the video, you should have a framework for how to think over your next vehicle purchase. I want to make a quick warning here. I've never owned a limo company, but I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of operators over the past 7.5 years, and I've seen the good and bad decisions they've made when either purchasing their first vehicle or even their 10th vehicle. First off, client acquisition. This is likely one of the most important things that's going to inform the decision of which vehicle you buy. And by that, I mean, how are you going to market your business? Are you planning on getting mainly affiliates as clients? Are you planning on doing online marketing and actually getting your own end clients? Affiliates, while they are clients, it can be very dangerous to just have a handful of affiliates feeding you all your business. For those of you who've been banned by Uber, you likely know how dangerous it is to rely on one big affiliate, Uber, or two big affiliates, Uber and Lyft, because if one of you kicks them off and you have both, you lose 50% of your revenue. And I've had plenty of clients who've told me just that happened. Actually, one of the videos I shot a few weeks ago with Armando, if you haven't seen it yet, he is the operator out of Seattle. That's what happened to him. Uber kicked him off and he had no choice but to start a ground transportation business. The reason knowing how you want to start your client acquisition is important is if you're going to do online marketing, that's going to inform the decision on the first vehicle you buy. Let's put that as number one. And we're going to just assume online marketing because I have not had experience growing affiliate-based businesses. So number one, client acquisition is going to be online marketing. And I'm assuming for many of you watching this video, that's going to be your strategy as well. Number two, we need to know, are you in a small, medium, or large market? And here's why I mention this. I actually would likely have a strategy that would inform my decision. If I'm doing online marketing and I'm in a small market, I might have a higher chance of going with an SUV. The reason for that is in a lot of small markets, there's just not a lot of competition, period. Therefore, you might be okay with an SUV. In a medium to large market, I might have told you in a medium market, an SUV a few years ago, but I'm starting to lean more and more towards Sprinter. Now, for those of you watching this, are like, Mark, I can't even afford an SUV. Okay, I get it. That might be out of the budget for many of you, but some sort of van. And here's why. There's just less of them. There are so many operators, owner operators out there with one SUV. It's the most competitive vehicle there is. The other day, about a week ago, I had a client, or not a client, but a potential client call me. He was in Queens and he wanted to start, online marketing for his new limo business. And I told him I just couldn't help him. And I felt bad, but he was an owner operator. He's in the biggest city in the US with the most competition. There's just so much competition in New York, so much so that I've even told anyone from New York that contacts me, even if they have 2 or 3 cars, if they are just SUVs, I'm sorry, I can't help you. If you're in Connecticut, I can help. Long Island, I can help. New Jersey, I can help. But New York City, it's just too competitive. Online marketing is too expensive really to make that work. And that's why if I were to start in a medium or large market today, this is May of 2024, I would 100% go for a Sprinter. And there's so many reasons for that. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen how rapidly the world is changing. You have ChatGPT doing insane things. I'm sure you've seen all of the breakthroughs Elon Musk has had with Tesla and the self-driving. It's gotten a lot better just very recently. And who knows if it's 2 years, 3 years, even if it's 5 years, eventually everyone's going to be using robo-taxis. I know some of you watching this don't want to hear that, but that's just the truth of the matter. Me personally, I'd rather get a head start on marketing the types of vehicles I know will still be popular 5 years from now. It's very unlikely that there's going to be robo Sprinters 5 years from now. It could happen. Likely what I would plan to do is start with a Sprinter, but just keep moving bigger and bigger. Get a bus, get a motor coach, because I know it's a very long time until those things are not driven by humans. If I'm doing online marketing, those are my market sizes. Those would be my choices. A very obvious thing to do, and I would do this before you purchase your first vehicle. This isn't completely obvious because I know a ton of operators that didn't do this. Many will just buy a vehicle and try to get customers for it. What if I told you instead, if you really want to be strategic about it, why don't you try to sell it before you buy it? Crazy, right? They give this advice all the time with new businesses. People that are creating courses, people that are creating software. They say to actually sell the course or the software or try to get someone to at least pay some money for it before before you start building it. I don't think it's that extreme because we know people want these sorts of vehicles, need them, but what you want to do is you want to see what your market needs. If you're in a small to medium-sized market, maybe a Sprinter would be the best bet, but maybe a sedan would be the best bet, or an SUV. The best way to find out is start marketing that vehicle online first. Many of you, this might be out of the question. It's expensive. I get that. But what's more expensive? Spending a few $1,000s, worst case scenario, farming the workout, or purchasing a $100,000 vehicle that you're not going to get any work for or enough work to pay your payments. I would say it's the latter that's going to be more expensive for you. And so I don't see this enough, and I wish I would see operators do this more, but you really want to do research on your market. You want to see who's running ads and at what times. What are the big players in my market? Pull out an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet and list each company and see which ones are running ads. You can tell when you Google something and it says ad next to it on the top of Google. Use a keyword like, or a search query, I should say, like car service to airport or airport car service. Or if you're planning on maybe getting into stretch limos, limo service with your city name. And see what comes up in the ads. I always get asked, wait a second, why just the ads? Why wouldn't you check the results below the ads? And look, you can. If you're gonna start out with Google Ads, the number one most important thing you wanna do is check on who you're competing with your ads, because it's a little more likely you might be competing against them. Now, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of people that click the ads and the organic listings. It's funny, most people you talk to, and probably even most of you watching this, are gonna say something like, I never click the ads. Who clicks the ads? Well, apparently a lot of people click the ads because a lot of businesses would not be in business if they weren't. You want to see who your competitors are. If you're going to be doing Google AdWords, see who your competitors are that are running ads. If you're going to be doing SEO, see who your local competitors are. If you have a Google business profile set up, which I have that in another video. If you don't have it set up, it's a no-brainer. It's free to do. It's getting harder to do, but 10 or 15 minutes or so. If you're doing SEO and you're trying to optimize your Google business profile, do a search near your location, or better yet, at your location, and see which businesses come up as your competitors. Now, there's tools to use that do this sort of thing, but they're paid tools, but you don't need to use them. Just do a search on Google, use a private or incognito browser. Granted, actually, I'm just thinking now, if you use a private or incognito browser, it will not get your location. So I would actually recommend you can use a private or incognito browser, but when it asks for your location, give it, because you want to see which results are going to come up when someone searches in your location. Now, this is if you're seeing who's competing against you in the map. I'm going to put this as number 3. And again, if you're doing ads or you're doing SEO, see who is ranked high organically. See who keeps showing up in the ads. See what times they're showing up, right? Because another thing you can always do is try to run your ads at somewhat off times. Now, there's downside to that because most businesses are 8 to 5 and you want your ads to show during that time. And that's when most people show their ads, but also early mornings and nights sometimes are great times because there's a lot less competition and the leads cost less. These are all the things I would take into account. In doing the research on the competition, I would be searching for the type of vehicle I'm going to be purchasing. Obviously, Sprinter van rental. That's a weird one because you would think, why would I search Sprinter van rental? I don't actually want to rent it. It's very much like limo rental, where if you have a Sprinter van, most people search Sprinter van rental. I know it's weird. I would think they'd search something like chauffeured Sprinter van or Sprinter van service, but it's actually Sprinter van rental or Sprinter van city name are the most popular searches we've found. And are some people looking to rent them? Yes, it's common. Whereas limo rental, no one's ever looking to rent a limo and drive it themselves, right? Do some searches and see who comes up, see what vehicles they have. Here's what you want to find out. Most of you in this industry know there's tons of companies that have websites with 50 vehicles on their site. They don't own all those vehicles. Most websites you see of limo companies, actually, I would say more often than not, they don't own most of the vehicles. I'm talking about there's probably thousands of owner operators out there that have a huge fleet on their website. They're thinking being, well, you know, if someone comes to my site but needs a bus, I at least want to get the lead. And by the way, I agree with that. You might as well at least get the lead and then maybe you can farm it out. See what vehicles they actually own. You really want to see what does the market need more of? And not even so much that, but who are you competing against and what vehicles do they have? Because if you know there's several guys in your market that own Sprinters that are running ads Then you might want to figure out, okay, well, what are these price points like? What kind of sprinters do they have? What kind of sprinters could I possibly get that maybe I could fulfill a need that isn't being serviced in the market, like a jet sprinter? Now, I will say with specialty vehicles, unless you're in like LA or New York, I wouldn't recommend them. And even then, generally how you want to book those is through affiliates, like just letting everyone in that city know that owns a limo company that you have this vehicle and let them sell it for you. Just because even when you're doing online marketing, I've tried to market jet sprinters. Even in New York City, it doesn't get that many searches. So you want to go with something that at least gets enough search volume. But in doing these searches and kind of figuring out what the market yields, if you're doing ads, checking your competitors running ads, what vehicles they have, do all of the competitors own the vehicles they have? Because if you find a lot of them don't own the vehicles and they're just farming that work out, well, then that could be a very good potential vehicle to get, because you're going to be able to price it more aggressively than your competition. I see this a lot, especially in the bus and motor coach industry. I have never seen an industry with so many companies are marketing online but don't own the equipment. It's wild. Most of the ads you see for motor coach and minibus companies, businesses are essentially like booking.com. Businesses that are just really online businesses. They're just literally getting the client and farming it out to a company that actually has that vehicle. That's kind of a side note here. If you own motor coaches, hey, what are you waiting for? Start running ads, because I guarantee you are going to be priced more competitively most of the other businesses running ads. Now, this is probably not in every market, and I'm sure a lot of the big markets, there are vendors that own the equipment running the ads, but it's very common in that market, in the bus market, that these companies aren't running ads. And I bet that's going to change, and here's why. Because as time goes on, more and more limo companies will start getting party buses, stretch limos, any sort of specialty vehicle that isn't a sedan or an SUV, because it's coming. The robo-taxi thing is coming, and it will be here eventually, and you don't want to be caught with the wrong types of vehicles. So long story short, guys, know your client acquisition channel, know your market size, and just know that small markets, there's more leeway. You know, no matter what, and this probably should have been number 2 and this number 3, because you need to know who your competition is. Even in large markets, medium-sized markets, you need to know your competition. If you don't know your competition, then yeah, I would say in most cases, if you're in a large market, going the sprinter route is the way to go. But I would never buy one without doing research. Before you buy your next vehicle, market it first, see who your competition is, get pricing from them, because what you want to find out is if you know their pricing that's pretty high compared to this other company, there's a very good chance they're just farming it out, or they might have a brand new vehicle, which is a whole nother subject for another video. If you're doing online marketing, generally speaking, brand new vehicles, specialty vehicles aren't as good of an idea, because people in general don't care as much if it's a 2024. If it's relatively new, clean, but most importantly, the level of service you offer is outstanding, you're gonna do just fine. Guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. I'm almost at 2K. Maybe by the time I release this video, I will be there. Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you on next week's video.